All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening to you guys. Welcome to the fourth round of DPL, where our theme is international relations. And the motion is this House, as the United States government, believes in its decision to actively support Israel. On the chair, we have me, Ravi Raj, and with me are the panelists, Akriti. And with that, I call upon the Prime Minister to open the case from side government. Here.
Good evening to one and all present over here. I'm Kartikeya Kumar and I'll be speaking in favor of the top motion. That is why the US government must actively support Israel. And I'll be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Panel, first I would like to start by illustrating how the US support looks like on the international platform. The US supports Israel on the on many aspects such as monetary fund, such as such as providing weapons and defense system. Moreover, the armies of the two countries together train in order to increase their combatness and awareness about the combat fields. And even so, we have seen many instances where United Nations Security Council, US has supported many of the Israel actions on this matter. Now, I'd like to start my second point. That is, if we look at the making of the Middle East region where the Israel is a part of, the US, we know, as we all know, is a democratic country. Same can be said for the Israel, but for the other or the major significant Middle East countries, we can say that they are either in some form of monarchy, or they are in form of dictatorship, or they have some sort of religious influence within them in order to influence decisions. With this factor taken in mind, we can say that the same ideas, the same type of government, the same type of thinking present in both the countries, we can say why they both generally club together. Now, I'd like to bring a very important point to the panel's perspective. That will be, we can see in the current dynamic geopolitics of the world, we can say the soft power of the US has been decreasing in the coming years. Some of the examples to back my statement will be, the US allies are starting to are starting not to trust US as the major ally in the international platform. Some examples are, as we all know, the Russia-Ukraine conflict has still not been resolved. Even though the US provides Ukraine with weapons, they provide sanctions on the Russia. Still, this conflict has not been resolved, and the subsequent factor is that in the Europe, mainly in the Europe region, the oil prices have significantly risen. Second point will be in the China expansion scenario where the help to the significant help to the Asian countries had not been provided by the US, especially if we can take the case of the China and Taiwan. With this, we can understand that the soft power has been decreasing for USA in the coming years, and if USA does not now actively support Israel, we can say this will provide a negative image of USA to the geopolitics, because the superpower, the image of superpower of Russia in the eyes of the world, that is based on the humanitarian purposes, will be damaged. And to catalyze the same process, recently China mediated a relationship between Saudi Arabia and Iran. So, of course, as any countries look after its own interests, we can see China is also trying its best to come up as an alternative superpower to USA, and this something that the USA cannot afford to know. Moreover, we can also know that the the recent the Israel Hamas or the Israel Palestine conflict, we can say US also can play a very significant, or US alone can play a significant part in bringing it resolved peace to that from his political, economic, and international leverage that he has on the international country on the platform. Now, coming to the main point, why? No, we understand that having an Israel as a strategic ally in the Middle East will help US in many scenarios. Let's take first case of security. We all know that the Iran's nuclear project, if in any coming years become fully functional or fully developed, will pose a threat to security for many countries across the globe. We also know that the terrorism, some organizations for international terrorism all over the world have been originated from the same Middle East, such as ISIS, Al Qaeda, and we also know because of the same non-democratic situations in the Middle East countries, we know the instability among them is highly common and not a very unusual phenomena. For this purposes, as a security reason, US need Israel as an ally in the Middle East region, where it can ensure that any such threat can be demolished before even it gets its heads out to fang the entire world. Taking another factor, that is economy. Even as an from the perspective of economy, Middle East plays a very important part because it controls. It has within it some of the very important international trade routes that are significant to USA, such as Swiss Canal, which of course provides which facilitates US trade to countries like China, Japan, etc., and it reduces the time taken for the goods to transport it from the either countries to each other. We can take the example of the Strait of Hormuz, where the Gulf oil can be transported to the international market, and we can take the also the scenario of the Gulf of Aden, where US need to ensure its connectivity for its allies in the Indian Ocean interest to be protected. Now coming to one more point about the mutual benefit panel, we know that Mossad, the secret organization of USA, is one of the most prominent secret organizations, and it has helped the US secret, that is CAI, on the many scenarios, because the Mossad is the first, like it can achieve the first on-ground report about the Iran's nuclear problem, one of the very security breach that can be observed in the Middle East countries. Moreover, we can see in the USA, a very significant diaspora of Jewish people are also there, which also influence the decision among these. Like we can see in example, the connection between the two countries for why their support can be taken as this point as well. Moreover, the R&D, the research and development that both of the countries does among each other in order to benefit each other in the technological fields, in a defense place, etc., is something that also cannot be is something that also cannot be ignored. If we can see the various factors why the US has reasons in order to support Israel. I'd like to now summarize my speech as the following. The first point which I raised was how the US support. I got it. The first point which I raised was how the US support looks like for Russia in the international platform. How being both of the countries being the same part of government also helps them to club together against those countries which have non-democratic form of government in them. My third point was a decrease in soft power and the need for America to support Israel in order to not hurt their superpower image. The fourth will be the strategic Israel being a strategic ally in forms of security, in forms of stable, ensuring interest for his other allies in form of economy. And the last will be the mutual benefit on each other, in which I illustrated the Mossad, the diaspora of Jews in America, and the R&D that both the countries have with each other. With this panel, I would like to proudly rest my case. Thank you.
I thank the Prime Minister for the speech. I now invite the leader of opposition to open the case from side opening opposition. And before we go ahead with more information, I would like the House to pay attention that we are debating as the United States. So please do keep that in mind in all the further speeches. All right.
Okay, so greetings to the panel. This is Aastha from as the leader of opposition, and we as the American government, we do not want to support the Israel, because at this point it's not about supporting Israel, it's about supporting the war. It's about supporting the genocide that Israel is committing on countries like so it's about the genocide that Israel is committing on the Palestine. The thing is that in past, the Israel, the way that Israel has been committing its atrocities on Palestine, we can see that in the past, the same thing Nazis did with the Jews in World War II. So now the oppressed people have become the oppressors, and who is supporting them to become so? The USA, by donating $14.3 billion and allocating them resources, man, and ammunition. They are helping the Israel to create a genocide and a situation of crisis in Palestine. So this will impact and this will damage the humanitarian image of the USA. So this is not really good for us, and our stance in any of these conflicts is not really beneficial for us. In fact, it is bringing us losses time and again. We have seen in the past the USA involvement in conflicts that had nothing to do with us and that never involved us has always led to the losses of man and ammunition and a lot of casualties, and our image in the forefront at the international forefront has been damaged. The USA involvement in the Vietnam War, which costed us a lot, and also and we didn't really benefit from it. We lost on the Vietnam, and then the USA. In the past, like in 1972 Indo-Pak War, USA was sidelining with the Pakistan, and we have been seeing that the Pakistan is has been betraying USA by maintaining good relationship with China, and China uh, is a threat to the USA for the superpower position. So how is it exactly benefiting the USA? The involvement in these conflicts, how is it exactly benefiting the USA? Thing is, I'll take the POI in the last minute. So the thing is, USA's involvement has cost USA more losses than any profits that would the Prime Minister was trying to explain to us. The USA's support to Pakistan and Afghanistan led to two terrorist organizations being born: the Taliban and the Al Qaeda, and the rise of the Osama bin Laden. So, which led to, which will see that, which the time has proved to us, which led to a huge uh, uh, terrorizing attack on the humanity. We have the example of 9/11 Twin Tower attack. So it was because of USA's involvement uh, in supporting Pakistan. And also, the thing is, now talking about the humanitarian image of the USA. So it will by involving in conflicts like this, the the threat of the humanitarian image of the USA is in threat, and it is going down the drain, because we are presenting an impartial and biased image at the forefront. So it's not really beneficial to us. We need to allocate our resources, our men and ammunition, to the countries who actually need it, rather than countries who are carrying on a genocide on some potentially some underprivileged countries. So for example, let's imagine USA as a parent. So if we have two child in our house, uh, would it be fair to be partial to one of them? No, it would not be. So our position as a parent should be to be impartial and allocate resources depending upon the need of the hour. We would like to maintain a neutral stance on these conflicts. Also, by supporting Israel, we are damaging our relationships with the Middle East, the UAE, and all those countries like Saudi Arab and etc. Why? Because all these countries, they don't really have good relation with Israel, and because of the huge genocide they are committing on Palestine. So the thing is, by damaging our relationship with these country, we are we are what can I, okay, so we are damaging the link that will bring us the resources, the oil reserves, and all those important non-renewable resources that will help us in future. Also, uh, just a second. Also, these kind of conflicts are creating internal uprisings in the USA, because the USA citizens are themselves not in support of such movements. So why will USA take the burden of handling internal conflicts plus external conflicts at the same time? It will become a huge mess and will create a lot of losses for its image and its resources. So it's not really leading to any kind of gain. The Prime Minister brings us a point of Iran being the nuclear power and causing a threat to USA. But if a country is being a threat to us, would it be better if would it be thoughtful if we better our relationships with them, or shall we work upon the relationship and become they're good allies, so that the resources can help us in our maintaining the world peace that we are trying to spread across the world. So that point has was completely not very thoughtful of the prime minister to bring to the forefront. Um, so the thing is, this is the time to make the America great again. We can't just go around lobbying the governments and supporting and be like a paid stooge and supporting people in their being and supporting random conflicts that we have nothing to do with. We just want to maintain our world peace stance and the image and our humanitarian image without any question to our credibility and any kind of bias, and that's how I rest my case. Thank you.
I thank the leader of opposition for the speech, and now I would like to call upon the Deputy Prime Minister to further the case from side. Opening government, here.
Cool. Can I
Before
be?
no, before we just go ahead with this, I'm so happy somebody said "Make America Great Again." I've been smiling all over ever since I heard that. It's good to have some fun as well. And with that, Pratish, go on.
Cool. POIs at the fifth minute. I would happy to get one from CEO to know your extension. Please do ask POI for engagement. Perfect. Just give me 10 seconds. Cool. Starting my speech in 3, 2, and 1. This was an after motion. If we go on to prove that USA soft power, which is declining in the current world, is the main reason they are going to lose a lot of business, and this business opportunity which are lost would be something on a greater scale rather than going and like not supporting their allies to some greater extent. But before that, what we got from opening now, two main cases. One, that USA is the flag bearer of humanity, human rights, etc., etc., etc. And if USA don't go on to if USA go on to support Israel to some greater extent, this is going to look like USA is downgrading its whole humanitarian image that have been created over the period of time. This is the same fundamental problem when USA don't go on to support Israel to some greater extent. When whole of the fucking Middle East goes on to attack Israel to some greater extent, in some senses as like seven-day war or etc., where like Iraq literally goes on to fire missiles, and USA had to at some point of time go on to say that yeah, enough is enough, and this is something where Israel also had a right to go retaliate or do something into their own accountability to protect their common citizens onto the ground. Understand, panel, that how the whole scenario of PM that presented to you is something which is most important, and understand how we go on to beat that. Why? Because when you go on to see the whole idea, and this is common simple way now, either you are going to defend your humanitarian rights, or either you are going to see a neutral paradigm in which already in the current status quo you are losing your soft power image, etc., etc. And this is where which is going to be huge problematic for US into current status quo, given the fact that China is also seen as something on a major contributor of superpower which is rising up to a scale, which I think PM also goes on to explain that how China is able to crack the deal between Saudi and Iran, which are like long due from a very long period of time. And understand that why China is interested in whole idea of Middle East also, which is going to mitigate USA to some greater level. But secondly, and the most important paradigm panel, that how having Israel on a ally, and understand that what this support looks like was something important that opening up never counters upon. And this is where it's important that either they go on to agree that this is the support that they go on to either go on to have onto our paradigm. Understand that why this support is something which is much important out into debate. Number one, when you go on to see that Israel people are also like butchered by these neighboring countries, and you go on to see that yeah, they also had some kind of human rights. But second, Israel is their only strategic partner in Middle East. After 9/11 happened, USA came and think that terrorism is also a problem. When India and the South Asian countries is saying that we are being threatened by Pakistan war on terror, etc., etc., they don't give a fuck to. And this was something, the main fundamental problem. When things don't happen out your paradigm after 9/11, USA came into realization that yeah, these were the things that were existing. And understand the panel that even though Al Qaeda, ISIS, etc., other more terrorist organizations which exist into those states, USA has only one strategic partner over into that trade, and this is Israel. both of the off benches can't come on to say that no, there are also other strategic partners that is. Why? Because the mutual conception relationship of Israel and US is something which is most important to go talk about. But secondly, panel, let's understand the simple vein over here. The kind of loss that we have when a terrorist attack happens, literally after 9/11, thousands of people were killed. Stock market literally crashed down. Trillions of dollars of money were literally lost, and this was all just because that the whole idea is that war was happened, terrorism happened, and all those things. And this is something to have a proper check and balance. USA literally need Israel to some greater extent. But secondly, understand panel, and this is where when we go on to prove to you that if USA have that kind of bifactor relationship with Israel, it's going to harm them to some great, it's going to support them into some greater extent. USA is controlled by two main lobby power. It's either the pharmaceutical or second, it's either the defense. How you take more defense out into the picture when into the current status quo, what's going to happen and how it's going to happen to a greater extent. It goes on to contribute to your greater scale of like export import, and you still go on to generate a huge amount of money through what's happening around, which goes on to also lead to like job generation, etc., things coming into picture. But even the fault of those things, the kind of relationship that Israel have in terms of like in Israel is the expert into R&D and all those things. So investing into these things is something which is going to deter to their Israel is going to support USA into some greater extent. Understand that this relationship is something which is most important. If USA don't support Israel, Israel is not going to support USA either into this. The whole idea is that this is a mutual relationship, and this is something which is important. Why? Because the very fundamental problem with the whole of the op benches, they go on to like literally don't understand this. But third and the final nail in the coffin, they go on to talk about that how it damaged their relationship with Middle East in terms of war resources and non-renewable, etc., yada things. And this is where like fifth minute, PY, CEO, go on. CEO, go on.
Recently, Saudi Arabia in 2022 announced a very good deal with us to form a new trade route. Please explain on that how a country except for Israel is not a very strategic Middle East partner for USA currently in the present 20th century.
N number of reasons to go on to prove that even though a de facto trade route exists, which like USA or like Saudi goes on to give, there are also N number of reasons. Number one was terrorism, which I don't need to go on to explain other, but also in terms of like have a proper check and balance onto like whole of Middle East. But secondly and thirdly and the most important things, that how and why onto this the soft power of US is something which is needed into current status quo, and why challenges in this whole idea of a status quo is something which is problematic. Understand panel, like PM give you three four main examples to support this. Number one, the whole idea of trust of USA as an ally is going to decrease, right? Japan in the current 2024 has started to invest into their defense budget. Previously they invested nothing just because they believe that USA is there to protect you on to greater extent. China is going to violate the whole idea of South China Sea, and they still go on to threaten Taiwan to greater extent. And this is where the problem comes in. Why? Because the whole idea and the image of USA is something which is depreciated to some greater extent. Third, and the most important, even after so much of sanctions and everything, like USA is literally failed to stop between Russia and Ukraine. Fourthly, in terms that even though after so much sanctions on North Korea, still missile tests and everything are still happening, and like even though at the fucking cost of their economy and everything, they are doing to do certain yada things. Fourthly and final, the US China rise into power, which is something which is going to also benefit and hurt the common people on the ground. Final and the most important thing that I as a DPM goes on to prove to you, that even after all these things happen, the whole idea USA as a government, and given the fact that this was an actor motion, if USA goes on to leave Israel, this mutual relationship is something which is going to hurt. So on to a de facto, it's also going to look like Israel not supporting R&D investment and everything companies. De facto is something which is also going to be something which is question. And with all these reasons, I vote for opening government. Here.
Thank the Deputy Prime Minister for his speech, and I call upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition to further the case from side opening opposition. Please give me 1 minute to complete my notes, and then we can get
Sure.
started. All right, let's go.
5 seconds. Yeah. Um, cool. So, hi everyone. I'm Ujwal from SMVIT Chargers. Uh, Call me whatever you want. I don't have a gender pronounce reservation. Uh, and I'm from the OO, the deputy leader, and we are starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's start. Mr. Speaker, before I even start speaking about GovBench, I want to learn what they have smoked up, right? More importantly, I really would like to question the fact that how are they even imaginative of the things which have failed again and again? So, what our side comes here and tells you that, boss, look, we don't want to support Israel. That doesn't mean we are supporting others either. We are not supporting the war, and we are going to give reasons for that. We are not supporting Israel or anyone else in that whole region, and we believe in making America great again by not supporting any selective parties. I absolutely buy all the points these guys are telling. I'm buying the fact that we have lost our soft power. I'm absolutely happy. I mean, I'm agreeing to it. I'm buying the fact that we need a R&D partner. I'm agreeing to it. I'm buying the fact that we need mutual relationship. I'm agreeing to it. I'm buying all the problems that they're talking about: the Suez Canal, the increased security of allies, the partnership with Mossad, and all of this. But you can get all of these done even by not supporting the war. The side gov comes in and tells me that China is somehow benefiting if or we are able to show something to China just because we are supporting Israel here. We are proposing a simple, pure solution that, look, boss, we are America. We have all our money. We have put in money in similar wars again and again. We have lost in Vietnam. We have lost in freaking Iraq that led to, ISIS and Al Qaeda. We have invested money in Pakistan, who has gone and now chilling with China and have sold that same nuclear technology to freaking Iran, which has become a threat to us. We have freaking lost money everywhere in this part of the world, despite doing the same mistake again and again for last 5 decades. You want to spend and do the same fuck up again. Instead, you are USA, you're the big man, you have all the money. Your job is to come out here to play the daddy's role, to be with the Israel, to be with Middle East, to have friendship with both of them, have mutual alignment with freaking both of them, have benefits with both of them, have intelligence sharing with both of them, protect your interests with everyone, have greater peace stabilization, build more businesses beyond your defense, beyond your pharma. You're already having defense. You told South China Sea, I agree. We need to put money in South China Sea and we need to show our might to China and show our defense equipments and sell defense there. That doesn't mean why the fuck should I support and spend my money in Israel? All I'm telling is, me as US Big Daddy, I just need to spend I need to spend money on making America great again on my own people. I've not got shit by supporting Ukraine. That war still is happening. I would have spent that same money. I'm not getting anything out of it, and I'm still spending this money to freaking have problems at my home house. I mean, I didn't get anything by supporting Israel, but I have problems in my own house. Students are protesting for it. People are protesting. I have civil conflicts. I have external countries. All the Islamic world is against me. The Middle East is against me. This Middle East is now, because I'm supporting Israel, they're going and lobbying with China, giving greater business to China, greater energy stability to China, and freaking everything to China. I totally agree to every single pain points you told all the time. And I'm telling you that in our paradigm, where we are not supporting or spending money on these wars at all, but becoming a bigger daddy and establishing peace between everyone. When there's a greater peace, that's where we can do a lot of trade, right? I mean, I'll tell you what are the losses which is happening if I am supporting Israel, right? There's a huge loss in peace. There's a huge loss in friendship in Middle East. I've already told you how many problems have already emerged. Things like ISIS, Al Qaeda, which we are still fighting a failed war after spending hundreds of billions of dollars, which could have spent on our youth, our resources. We have destabilization in Middle East, which is literally the gold mine of the world. All the VC money in this world is coming from freaking Middle East, and I don't want to be against them. I want to be friends with both of them. If I am parent to someone and I want to be seen as parently figure and a world leader, I want to establish justice and equality, and that can be done by convincing both of them. In fact, me supporting Israel is actually escalating the war further. Me as supporting Israel will actually make them think that I have endless resources and consistently keep fighting using my resources, and that will increase the tensions continuously. Why the fuck could not we solve this problem for last so many decades? All I'm talking is that in our case, you have a greater peace. You have a US becomes like a peace negotiator. Everyone comes to us to solve their problem. We become that go-to trusted partner. We don't have an internal civil conflict at all for something that we were not gaining altogether. We don't have blood in our hands. Freaking, I'm giving money to Israel and they are in the control of it. And they are literally, killing citizens, I mean, civilians of other countries. And all of that blood is in US hands. Where the fuck is our humanitarian name? In fact, China is benefiting out of all of these conflicts, right? Uh, our solution is simple. We, as world leaders, spend money on ourselves and our allies and our important businesses, look to make our businesses 10x rather than just working on the same old pharma defense business that is already established. Everyone is still buying. There are a lot of conflicts in other parts of the world. Let that continue to happen. We establish our business in Middle East and mint the money out of it, right? We become diplomatic partners. We establish peace, and that's what we are proposing. And that is a greater solution because in a longer run, this is the best way to establish peace and have more money. Now, I'm going to tell you how this is going to benefit everyone end to end and how our paradigm takes it all right and we deserve to win. Our first stakeholder is US government. How do we benefit? We have enhanced national security. We have a greater energy security due to good friendship with everyone. We have great economic opportunities because we are friends with everyone. We have diplomatic leverage because now we are the decision makers. We are helping people make peace. We are the freaking, we are the humanitarian guys. We are creating that example and we are leading the world peace. We are saving our US troops and much needed resources, which is spent on our own people, which has grown at the fastest pace. How is the Israeli government going to benefit in a longer run? If you don't support Israel and if you bring peace, when there are peace on both sides, there will be a greater development on both sides. It's not just your R&D for defense. You need to freaking do R&D for coronavirus, for so many viruses and so many bullshit that is coming up. In middle of war, you cannot do this bullshit, right? How are Middle East countries going to benefit? They are going to benefit with friendship from US. They are going to get our technology. They are going to get the technology of Israel as well. And you can benefit that way. US citizens will get a lot of money and all these money will be spent on them. That's why they will be happy. Now, these guys talk about the Iran nuclearization, right? If you wouldn't have had supported Pakistan and you wouldn't have had let them do everything, this whole problem wouldn't have had come. Now is the time you make friendship with Iran, you make friendship with Israel, and you make sure that you control them rather than having them on opposite side. Right now, because of our support in Middle East, freaking everyone is against us, right? The DPM comes and tells all kind of bullshit on why we should support Israel, but does not give any narrative that supporting Israel will really help China and all that. I don't see a direct parallel at all. That's just an imaginative stuff, and I would genuinely love to smoke up the same thing, and hence we love to oppose. Thank you.
I thank the Deputy Leader of Opposition for his speech, and now I call upon the Member of Government to open the case from side closing government. Here. Whoever is joining in, please give me 1 minute before you get started.
Kodalla.
Just because we are on YouTube live, I will be very parliamentary about it.
Kodalla. Also, Akriti and whosoever is there right now, please check Ayush Kaushik's this thing. He has been logging in, logging out a lot, and he has been talking about that in the WhatsApp group as well. So please check that. There has been some issue, and I hope that gets resolved because the last thing we want is CEO to come and have this excuse that they lost because of internet, right? Because we are going to win anyways. Revenge.
Yeah, nice trash talking coming in from all of us. I do appreciate the kind of conversation that's going on. I mean, it makes me feel good. I wish I was participating because so far this has been going good. But anyways, let's go on and let's see what Sukesh brings to the table, which is different from the opening government. Here.
Okay. So I'll be Akriti, as in third round, I would require a 1 minute, 3 minute, and a 5 minute timer.
I will be waving at you.
and,
I would appreciate it if you just nod your head and I will accordingly stop signaling you.
Fine.
1, 3, and
Okay,
5.
sure.
Sounds good?
Okay, sure. That's
Uh,
good enough.
Obviously,
So
if you
I don't
could
have
just
any
pop
preferred.
those messages in the chat, I will accordingly wave.
Also, since it's now CG and OG, CG and O, since Ujwal and Ayush or Rathore is already here, I would request you to please give me voice over POIs. Just say POI, and if I have time, I'll take you guys. Okay? Is that fine? Okay. I have no preferred gender pronouns. I'm a boomer. मेरे को समझ में नहीं आता. So let's talk about Israel and Palestine in three, in two, in one. Let's understand this stupid narrative that our friend the DPM DLO comes and talks, right? They are living in a utopian world where the past has not at all happened. The past does not exist anymore. The entire war from 1947 to right now is not existing. The idea of Iran and USA's relation suddenly working out is happening. All of that is such a utopian idea that I'm surprised that the DLO comes out and talks about smoking stuff while I think they are the ones who are high. Let's talk about this in a completely understanding sense, right? OG fails to explain one simple factor. What do you mean by active? What do you mean by active support, right? And that is something which is extremely important. Let's understand the current problem, right? USA is defending almost four different allies across four different places with the same type of enemies who have already formed another nexus, right? Let's understand the situation. Number one, US is defending Israel's shipment and US's own shipment in the Red Sea by the attack of Houthi rebels, right? From Yemen, number one. Number two, Israel is also helping, USA is helping Israel defend against Palestine and carpet bomb Gaza at the same time, right? Number two. Number three, USA is also helping South Korea blockade North Korea so that North Korea, there is no tension in the Korean Peninsula in the first place, right? Number three. Number four, in the South China Sea, US is also helping to make sure that China's influence does not go back all the way to Taiwan, and also Philippines are not being affected to the same degree, right? This is the kind of war scenario that we are actually following here. Let's understand one thing, Mr. Speaker, that something that OG never talks about and something that O never talks about. What is Israel's narrative in this first place, right? The Israel's narrative is an idea of fight and flight from the very moment Jewish refugees landed in Palestine. The entire idea of a Jewish state which is present is simply because then the reason why they actually support USA supports this thing is because USA by definition is a Christian Catholic state, and the identity and the idea of USA and USA's Christian conservative as well as USA's Jews versus with a Jewish state is something that is so paradigm and that is so important for USA as well, because it can literally turn elections left, right, and center. And that is why there has been to date a bipartisan understanding that we need to support Israel. Number two, something that these people do not understand as to how important strategic it is, as a strategic location it is. Israel is surrounded by Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, Egypt. All four of them have attacked Israel already once. And the last time when USA actually deployed its own army in the Middle East, it was to fight against Syria's ISIS. How did it do it? It landed in fucking Israel. If Israel is not there, what will happen is the question that they fail to understand or they fail to talk about. Talking and diplomatic solution only comes when you're in a place of power. As OG and OO have already conceded that you are from a soft power, this is also not just true for just USA. This is also true that USA has lost its soft power in terms of Israel as well. Israel has become that much more less dependent on USA than it was before. In fact, before October 7th, Israel already had brokered peace deals with the Arab League already, which means here is the problem that we are coming into, right? This is the characterization that everybody fails to provide. The characterization is now we are in a war-torn situation. What has happened on October 7th has already happened. The carpet bombing of Gaza has already happened. Israel has vowed by any fucking means necessary to decimate Hamas, take them to their last one and completely destroy them. That is what Israel has vowed. And here is a problem. The Iran is supporting Israel. Saudi Arabia is supporting Israel. Lebanon is supporting Israel. Palestine. So is Egypt. The problem here is as follows. The issue that these people are trying to force is not just about USA and Israel. It's also about USA's hegemony status. Only when you're in a place of power can you negotiate any sort of brokerage deal. The reason why Hamas actually came to the point of hostage rescuing is because Israel carpet fucking bombed Gaza. Why else will Hamas come into picture? Because they were being hurt, because they understood that they cannot take the political pressure, the political narrative, and the political rhetoric that was going on. Number two, let's understand this very clearly, Mr. Speaker, that the problem that we have is this: what happens when we leave Israel out of this, right? Because previously, even if we left Israel out of it and we did not support Israel, it was still fine, because everything Middle East was similarly in a place of some relative peace. Now all kinds of cordiality has been shed. There is a line in the sand. Israel will continue to carpet bomb Gaza, probably carpet bomb West Bank afterwards, which means there is a very high chance of history repeating itself. The 7-day war can very well happen. If 7-day war can very well happen, given the fact of the extensive political climate, which is extremely charged, and something that all of these people agree to, it means that we have to support a NATO ally. As simple as that. Because we have to support a NATO ally, this means we have to take a stand with Israel. And here is something that they haven't figured out. When Iran attacked Israel with 303 missiles, the reason why Israel hasn't counterattacked is also because of USA's influence. There is an USA's influence which is present. Before that, from side opening ops. Can't hear you. Can't
USA,
hear you.
you
Please.
told that this conflict has been going on since 1945, right? And USA has been endlessly supporting. You just tell me, when will this war come to an end, and when will this
Okay, got
resource
it. Got it.
bombarding the US
Yeah,
come
yeah,
to
yeah.
an end?
Got it. Very good, very good. Here is the problem. The entire idea of Palestine slogan is from the rivers to the sea, Palestine will be free. The entire Islamic ideology of Hamas is until a single Jew is present, there will be no repercussion to Hamas, which simply means to say, you fucking carpet bomb Gaza. Me, I am accepting, and I'm going to say, if Israel chooses to carpet bomb Gaza, it is still fine. But the only way Israel will stop to carpet bomb Gaza is simply because of USA's influence. If USA is gone, Israel will do two things. One, its ammunition will start to decrease. The moment its ammunition starts to decrease, it is going to carpet bomb everything that it has to finish off Gaza once and for all, so that they don't have that problem at all. Secondly, if they get further agitated, and depending on the type of this thing, it can very well escalate into a nuclear war. Do not forget, Israel is also a nuclear country, which means the very proxy war which was happening between Iran and Israel have now become an actual war, which means the line in the sand has already been drawn. Without the USA coming there and supporting Israel and telling Iran to stop fighting, to give that time to initiate any sort of diplomatic this thing from a stronger position, would require USA to be there, would require USA to support Israel, and would require USA to stop Israel. Israel is like a dog who has been bitten by rabies. The only way to stop it is put it on a leash. The only way the leash can be applied if USA is there. Without that, you are going to escalate into a third world war at the worst case scenario. And with this problem that we have, it is important that we make sure that Israel is within our ally, and Israel listens to us. And the only way to do that is to support Israel. And hence, I'm very proudly opposed. I propose.
We thank the member of government for his rousing speech, although he kept confusing which side he was on. We do get where he's coming from.
Hey, shut
And
up, dude. You understood what I meant.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm so sorry. May I just interrupt? We are facing a lot of issues from Ayush Kaushik's side due
yeah.
to some network issues or whatever. So either it will be happening that either someone else in his place would be joining as a whip, or Ayush Rathore will be going as a iron person. Either one of the
I'll
things will be happening.
I'll do whip. I'll do whip. There's nobody coming. I'll do whip.
Okay, fine. So then we
Government
have a
has
Okay.
case
lost
of an
entirely.
iron person.
I'm telling right now. Okay.
We'll hold
So
on to it. I don't mind. Let's just wait. If somebody else is joining, let's just go. Or how is he going twice? Are you going twice, Rathor?
Yes, Chairman.
All right, fair enough. In a first in the Debsoc, probably the last time I remember somebody going twice was either me or Sukesh when we had a number. So yeah, let's go. Ayush Rathor.
Good evening. all the senators present here as well as the chair. Just give me a few more minutes to summarize all the points, then I'll move forward.
Sure. Take your time. I mean, this
Because
was
I'll
a little surprising, so take your time. You
because
have
I'll
all.
be obviously going for whip also, so I need
Yeah.
some time.
Yeah. Take your time. We'll give you a couple of minutes. By then, Sukesh can continue his trash talk, and I can just check because Sunrisers playing
Trash
today.
talk kuch nahi.
Useless team.
So yeah, we won by the way. We won. We won by the way. Can't believe Will Jacks
Congratulations.
kya khel diya be.
Yeah, Sunrisers are down in the
Kya
dregs
khela.
again.
I was so excited. I mean, freaking at this point of time in the game, we have started to win. I mean, someone told me, why didn't you name your team as
सोचो अगर
MVIT
सब मैच
Tuskers Bangalore?
MVIT Tuskers.
Bangalore.
Yeah.
Because it was Kochi Tuskers Kerala. So
Yeah.
Just
Ah,
few more.
yeah. Take your time. No pressure. If you want, turn off the camera. Just organize your thoughts. We are good with.
No. It's very rare that I interact with veterans like you. I will not turn off my camera. I'll not
I'm
get
sorry, a
intimidated.
war veteran. No, it's okay. You can always reach out. But yeah, let's go whenever.
ठीक है. So, panel, I will just, senators as well as a chair, I'll just tell my flow that I'll be expanding on what we are trying to propose as an opposition, which the government again fails to understand and deliver something else. And then I will touch upon why our side fares better than all the other sides here. So, starting my speech, I will not take POS because I have a lot of content. I'll try to take them. Please drop them in text, but I am not very sure. Thank you so much. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Panel and in the entire sentence, first, let's understand why Israel is a very key player in US history, right? So earlier, US had the control via the Suez Canal to connect with the Asia for all the trade routes, right? Now, what is happening recently with India, Iran, and Russia, that we are connecting a very small trade route connecting Asia as well as Europe, and this hampers the US trade connections already, right? So US had an history of very long trade connection, but now it's being hampered. Number one. Number two, now it is trying to derive a new trade route via the Middle East countries as well as Israel included. So it needs support of Middle East country, including Saudi Arabia, Iran, etc., as well as Israel to stay connected to the Asian trade route, as well as our 20% of the fucking oil that we require to run ourselves. This is the number one history of why US Israel is required. We do not want any sort of inconvenience with them, not just because of their geographical location and them being a dog, as mentioned by the CG, but they also have a very strategic trade route. Number two, our economy is in fucking debt limit. We have already increased the debt limit. Let's come to our country first and then indulge in other history. We have already increased the fucking debt limit. We are all on the all-time high in terms of debt. We cannot invest in companies like Lockheed Martin mentioned in yesterday's round very blatantly. We have to invest in health, education, the primary goals that are lacking here due to the wrong vote bank. Let me remind you of number three of the history of our fucking foreign affairs, right? So we went in Afghan, we lost 2 million, we lost 200,000 soldiers, we lost billions of dollars, we fought for 20 years, there was no outcome. We went to Vietnam, we had a war for 20 years, there was no fucking outcome. Let's take the fucking example of the government, North Korea and South Korea. Russia and US were the main reasons why North Korea and South Korea are divided today, and they had that war. Earlier, they were united together, and after that war with China, Russia took over the North Korea part as a communist government, and South Korea was taken down by the US. This is the reason number three. Number four, in history of Israel, Hamas, Palestine, Hamas is the reason of Israel's and US's joint creation. Muhammad brothers wanted a right-wing analysis, but it was Israel at last which tried to, create a divide and rule policy, destroying Palestine. So this war of their history is going on from long, and there's a reason that this might not stop, right? So why we have our own internal problems, why we are focusing first of all on the foreign diplomats, why we not stop first our own problems? Number two, we already have the war going on in Europe, with us being a part of NATO as well as Russia, not actively, but there's a chance that it may lead to full-fledged war, right? So why we are trying to fight on two frontiers, that one in Middle East and one is NATO? Why not try to subsidize that first of all? We are not looking for war. We are not looking for actively supporting Israel's idea of war. We are trying to neutralize and trying to act as a neutral member, like our other allies such as India are doing currently, and they are doing it successfully. They are backed by countries. They are backed by both sides of the house, right? So we are our main priority is to back our own problems first and then go on to the other problems. You take the also example of the high time hatred and racism that is going on currently in the region, which needs to be taken care of first of all. Then we go on to external problems. You also can take the example of Mohammed Kaf, the leader of Hamas, who has not been killed till now. Joint operations by Mossad and CIA have led to a lot of extent. His wife has died, his children have died, he has lost one leg, he has lost one hand, still he is alive. He is the main reason why attacks happened in 2023. So there are this, I can totally relate to a total history of not just Israel and Palestine conflict, but a history of why our foreign, foreign, these problems have created a lot of loss for us rather than as well as the country we are providing with. So again, concluding my entire thing, we are not looking for actively supporting Israel's active support of war, but we are looking for negotiation, which is a high time need for our internal security, internal needs, internal economic reasons, uh, internal trade route relations with Saudi Arabia, Iran, etc. that we want to acquire, because we don't want to annoy the other part of the, I will not take POI, because we don't want to annoy the other part of Middle East, which is also very powerful currently, as also mentioned by that other previous speaker, that Iran is currently now on the stage of nuclear power, right? We do not want a world war at our, when at the same time there is a war going on with NATO. There is a chance of war with NATO against Russia and the Europe. This is our all cases, right? I will touch upon the stakeholders later, but why? Let me tell you why we fear about the fear of it right now itself before I come out again as a web speaker. So I mentioned about Mossad. I mentioned OO comes and tells you that we have a position and allocate now. Iran is already a threat. The credibility is low. So resource allocation. They mentioned opening opposition does just mention about resource allocation, but they fail to expand how are they gonna and till what extent are they gonna use their resources, right? Number two, opening opposition does tell you about our stance of staying neutral, that we also agree, but we tell you how are we gonna use this money and route of our basic need of trade route strategically. They also tell the example of China, which is trying to print money in Asia. We can ensure the same thing. As you can see, China, without even war, it has strategically, have a very major dominant control in entire Asia surrounding our ally India, as well as is able to print money via that. OG comes and tells you about accountability, that our support, that our soft power is decreasing. Our soft power has never decreased; it decreases as well as increases at the same time. Number five, we have also elections in 2020. We have coming up elections, right? So whatever decision is currently taken by our senator, that can be overturned easily by the upcoming elections if the opposing candidate wins. So there is no assurity that the current, if we actively support war and at if we actively support war, and then at the end, if the decision is overturned, we are again at the loss of resources, as our history concludes of our foreign affairs. CG told that history doesn't exist. I showed you the history of Vietnam. I showed you the history of Korea. I showed you a history of why Israel was created. I showed you the history of Israel supporting Hamas. So Israel was again, after the World War and before World War One, Ottoman Empire was the main capturer of Israel. But after it ended, it tied up with British and created an independent state, Israel. So Israel is another product of USA. Please note that it is again a product of Israel and Palestine. It is again the main reason why Palestine and Israel have that two nations one policy right now, right? 1900s, Israel has never taken a flight situation after 1900s. They have actively engaged in war right from 1900s after World War II to the current 2023 scenario. There is no flight reason currently, as per this closing government mentions. They also mentioned Jordan, Syria, Egypt are for case. Okay, I'll summarize it later on. Thank you for my time.
All right. Thank you, Ayush, for ironmanning the first half of his speech. With that, we call upon the government whip Purushottam to close the case from side closing government and on the government bench. Just give me 2 minutes and then we can get started.
Am I audible and visible?
We can see you and
Yeah,
we can hear you. You're good.
yeah. I would highly appreciate all the speakers not to laugh in between my speech so that I am not distracted enough to defeat the whole opposition bench.
I like the
So,
confidence, and with that, Purushottam, whenever
yeah,
you're ready,
yeah, just give
yeah,
me 30 seconds. I will just summarize everything.
yeah, take it up.
Okay. Okay, so I am Purushottam Kumar, preferred gender pronouns he/him. I will require a timestamp at 1 minute and 5 minutes. Preferred POI, you can unmute yourself to ask POI after 5th minute and preferably from O. Okay. So I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Panel, in my entire 7 minutes of speech, I will be telling you what came from the entire opposition bench, what we from the side government proposed to you, and I will compare at last that how we are from our case, the stakeholders, that is all of the teams have agreed that the stakeholders are US, Israel, and Middle East countries. They will be benefited, and what will be the impacts on the entire all of these stakeholders, right? So what majorly came from the entire opposition bench? Opposition bench completely failed to understand. I don't understand that how they are comparing Israel with Pakistan and Vietnam. Considering the geographical region of Israel plus the economical perspective of Israel plus the political perspective of Israel, why I am telling is that in their entire speech, considering OO and the CO, they have continuously they have mentioned that they have faced US has faced losses because they have actively participated in this war, but they have completely ignored that point that comparing Israel with a country like Pakistan and Vietnam is completely a bullshit thing. Why? I will be telling you later in my speech. Secondly, in from okay, the entire from the off bench, we got an idea that they as a US wants a neutral stand and they want to improve the image, right? What we from the side government gave you that the strategic perspective of US and the Israel, the active participation of US in Israel plays a very important role. We need to understand that the geographical region of Israel is surrounded by all the Islamic countries, right? Now, the establishment was Israel was on the basis of preserving the Jews in that country and preserving the culture from and means preventing the invasion of Islamic activists in the Israel, right? Now here US plays a very important role because of the US actively taking part in or actively involved in Israel has protected Israel from being invaded by these Islamic countries by continuous war, and it has helped Israel to fight against these Islamic countries. I will take it later. Fight against the Islamic countries like Syria, Islamic countries like Syria, Egypt, and Lebanon, and Hamas. Right now, this is US taking actively part in actively supporting Israel is a win-win situation for both as a US plus as a Israel. Why as a US is US needs help for Israel to strategically help and strategic US needs help of Israel for military operations in Syria, right? We need to understand that US doesn't have a bad relation with all the Middle East countries. They have a good relation with all the Middle East countries except Iran, right? So in order to prevent any military operations or in order to take action against the military operations, us need the help of Israel to set up their troops so that they can take actions against these Islamic countries and prevent any Islamic activities or attacks on US or the Israel, right? Why it is win-win situation for Israel is because of the active participation of US, Israel is still existing. We can't deny the fact that by continuous attack by the neighboring countries, US is still present in the map is just because of the involvement of US. Why I am telling is that recently Hamas has attacked the US because attacked Israel. So because of the US being the solely superpower and its action or as it stands in Israel has given a strong message to the world that yes, it is an act of condemn which we have to be against the Hamas, that this can't be taken as a grant. This attack can't be taken as granted, and it has given the strong message to the UN as well that this is a matter of concern for the Israel, that is attack of Hamas on Israel. So it is an important role of the US taking part in the Israel, because of which they have sent a strong message to the entire world, right? We gave you the idea of economic perspective. We also gave you the idea of religious perspective. Now when the CEO comes and tells about that this each when the CEO comes and tells that each action of the US can turn the elections or election perspective in the US, we need to understand that a good amount of population of Jews are there in US. So US being against Israel can actually play an important role in elections, upcoming elections in the US, right? Why? Because I am telling you, it can be a turning point for the US elections if US is against Israel, because there are a good amount of population of Jews in the America, right? We also gave you the idea of the why it is important for the US and the Israel to actively be a collaborated in terms of technological advancement. We can't deny with the fact that Israel is technologically advanced country, and for the research and economic perspective, we need support of both the countries need supports of each other, right? We also gave you the idea that when Iran attacked Israel, so it was the US because of which World War was not there. If US was not there, then there was high chances that Israel would have attacked against Iran, and it would have created a scene like a world war, right? Now, coming to the entire analysis, okay, we can we gave you the idea from the POI. First.
Recently, Iran launched thousands of rockets on Israel, and Israel did not retaliate. Please explain on that point why Israel did not retaliate. Wasn't in a war against 6 countries, and why should it not retaliated Iran? Please explain.
See, the simple fact is the US being involved in this war, right? US, even the opposition bench, even the government bench has agreed that US is playing as a peacemaker in the entire Middle East, right? So if Israel would have attacked on a back attack on the Iran, the war like situation might have arisen, and it would have created it would have made the situation more worse, right? What we gave from the side opposition, a side government gave you, that we gave you the idea of a democratic significance of US being actively part in Israel. Secondly, we gave you the idea of religious perspective. We gave you the idea of economic perspective. We also gave you the idea that who are the stakeholders and why what they want. US wants support of Israel so that they can take military actions against the terrorists, and they can be the superpower, because the US is also having a fear that if Israel is not there, then Middle East countries can combine and they can become the superpower, which US will never want, that some other country or some other territory will become a superpower, right? And coming to the Israel also wants the support of US so that it stays in the Middle East countries and survives in the Middle East countries, like, and what we are providing actively taking part in the wars, we are providing win-win situation for both the side of the house, both the stakeholders, and impacts will be the peace in the country, plus the trades and the economic trades and the democratic significance will remain there. And now I will like to summarize by just comparing the worst case and the best case. In their best case, they will improve the image of US and by being neutral, but in worst case, that is we taking actively part in Israel, not taking part in Israel will lead to a nuclear war. Thank you.
I thank the government whip for closing the case from side government, and now to close the case from side closing opposition and from the entire bench, we have Ayush Rathore once again. Here.
So, panel, I have already summarized it. The case is already over. They have not explained and counted on what I propose or our opening or the opening opposition proposed. Yes. I will try to, but I have a lot of content, so I'll try, but I'm not really sure. Thank you so much. Please drop in text. I'll try about POI. So I'll be starting again in 3, 2, 1. Panel, as a US, we need to again focus on our current dimension and scenario that we are at an all-time depth high. Our relations with international countries due to our all-time hatred and racism are at high. We do not want to look at best case, worst case. We want to mitigate this as soon as possible. Even if we go by the worst case of closing government, we are a lot losses of economy because we are provided Israel already with so many weapons, 100% protection. And at the same time, Palestine is already backed by Egypt, Iran, by underground tunnels, and we were not able to counter it by our CIA. So it is a very parallel dimension that we are fighting against. It is a very parallel dimension, and we are at a loss even in a best side and worst side. Our very best scenario is currently to act like what a diplomatic strategy partner India is doing, to have a neutral stand, to try to mediate our relations with all the 6 countries in the Middle East as well as Israel, to maintain our trade routes, to improve our economy, to reduce the hatred and racism that is going on currently by other persecuted religions in our country, as well as to protect the minorities in our country. Okay? These are all the points. Now I'll take down the entire closing government's case, what he summarized. So yes, I understand Israel and Pakistan are different. I already mentioned the history of trade route, why US wants Israel first of all, right from the history of Suez Canal to wait. So to I have the names of the route to NSTC route proposed by India, as well as the NEMTC route, which is proposed by US again via Saudi Arabia and Iran. uh, closing government closing government also says that we all wanted to attain a neutral stand. Yes, we do want to attain a neutral stand and do not want to actively engage in what. Yes, POI, please, faster, please. Your mic is muted.
Internal security and citizen safety are something which can turn down the tables in elections. What is more costly on your side? What cost of money is going to spend if, in terms of terrorist attack, again happen on USA? The stock market fail and everything again you have to build from very
currently
scratch.
current I got your question, please wait. Currently our main citizens require increase in healthcare, increase in education, and they want the economic debt to be decreased. I will again touch upon the fact that it's mentioned about the Jewish vote bank. Jewish vote bank is just 2.4 or less than 5% currently US. So mostly it's Hispanics and the white Americans that are present there. So that is related to what I totally understand, that we are at an international risk of, international risk of security attacks, but that will only happen when we are at totally war at, countries, that 6 countries where are active in Muslim radicalization. Until and unless we maintain a neutral stand with them, the number of attacks will increase. Take the example of India. India has maintained a neutral stand against these type of with these 6 countries, and the number of attacks have decreased. Even if a small attack happens, these 6 countries are the first to, the first one to condemn these attacks, despite being the majority in that particular region. Also, take the worst case example, as the CG mentioned. If we are going against war at these 6 countries of this Middle East, we are going to lose, because it's obviously 6 versus 1. Obviously, we can stretch the war for 20 more years, like we did in Vietnam, Korea, etc. But at the end of the day, we are still going to fucking lose, because Iran will one day get its nuclear status, and the entire world will get at the World War III status. Please understand that this is a very high concern for our country, to focus on our internal matters first, then slowly try to mitigate the active tension that is going on by Israel and Palestine by mutual consideration. This is a very high time that the entire world doesn't want a World War III. That too, when an active war is going on in Europe, and we do not want another war parallelly going on in Middle East, with all the countries joining together for World War III. Number two, CG. Coming back to CG, yes, again they mentioned of Syria, Egypt, and Lebanon. It's again, I said, it's 6 versus 1. That is not a very active case for us when we are at a high time economic depth. I already mentioned that how long will it take to mitigate? We don't know ourselves, because our history has a very bad reputation of these wars going on for 20 plus years. Jewish vote, again, I mentioned that it is just less than 2.4%. The most people are Hispanic and whites, which hold the majority of the vote bank. And then they are the main key factors in the upcoming election that we need to focus. So we need to woo and the entire vote bank, leave fucking Jewish vote bank of less than 5 people. We need to enter the entire citizens that we are going to work on our economy very soon, and we will not interrupt in other active wars unless our economy is better, right? America is a key part of the entire. Yes, I understand. We also accept that America is a very key part of the entire relationship, because there is a radical power of China and Russia uniting together to reach their own communist levels, and then we have our own status, so we do not want to decrease the soft power by losing to a soft power war, or even a hardcore full-grown war with these 6 countries, right? So this is the one thing. I will again touch upon the fact of stakeholders here, because I missed it out in last speech. I'll only touch upon the stakeholders that were mentioned. Number two, Palestinian Authority. Now Palestine itself, the citizens itself want the war to end, because they are facing casualty on themselves high. Elections have only happened in Palestine once, and then after that Hamas has won in Gaza, and Fatah has won in West Bank. There has been no election, right? So Palestinians itself wanted to resolve. You always see cries of everyday people on social media that we wanted to stop. Number two, Israel is already spending a lot of money in this scenario itself. So Israel government is also at a very loss, because this war is going on from long. You take after World War II, you take before World War II also, Israel has been in this war for long. So this requires a very active sit together mediation, instead of going for a full-fledged 2 parallel wars that can at the end cost World War III, as well as just fucking sink our entire economy that is currently staying at a maximized debt limit. Please note down, Mr. Senators, please note down. Number three, I will also take up on the fact of the UN and the other NGOs. Please understand, this is a sub point of what all the other stakeholders have been mentioned. So there are NGOs and UN which actively work with these 6 Middle East countries, providing funds to human-based funds to Palestine, and this has been in multiple 50 to 60 billions, which has not been touched by any government party or anybody else in this debate currently, right? I'm just touching it as a sub point of what this closing government had mentioned of the Middle East countries of 6 countries. So these countries have that NGO that provide funds, and these funds have been a lot time high. We are already wasting money on humanitarian. Why not, invest it somewhere else in total? Yes, I am seeing the time. Thank you so much. Coming back to another main stakeholder of business commerce with the Asian countries. Asian countries are very rich in oil. We need their oil resources. We cannot affect our trade routes. The new opposed trade rules is a very good alternative to what India, Russia, and Iran, we named NSTSC, are supporting in together. We need that alternative trade off of Saudi Arabia and Israel in together to counter the longer trade route via Suez Canal that we have. Why? It is a very beneficial for our economy, to the growth of our economy, to the growth of the Asian economy, to boost the trade with our Asian tribe, to boost the trade with our diplomacy. Ending it all, in the current 28th scenario, no country wants war. We want a all-neutral stance. The world is already at the brink of World War III. We are at a war with NATO in the Russia already. Russia is not winning because Putin wants to increase his glory. And at the same time, fucking internally, we have an all-time high hatred. Our economy is at all-time low. We are all-time debt. We are very losing our diplomatic powers. We are being mocked internationally due to our present scenario. And we don't want to lose our upcoming elections, and we don't want riots internally in our country itself. Proud to fucking oppose this entire motion. We win it today. Thank you.
I thank the closing opposition for their speech. And with that, we are done with all the speakers. I thank all of you for the debate. And please give us some time to deliberate upon the decision. And before that, I would genuinely like to express my surprise on the fact that nobody actually mentioned the veto in the UN. That was something that I believed was of extreme importance, because that is not just an image concept, but also about how the US perceives itself. That was something that I would have really liked to see as a part of the debate, but nonetheless, it was a good debate, and I'm really happy I got to add it. Just give us some time to come up with a verdict. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope all of you are here. Can I get a message from at least one member from each group so that I know you guys are here on the private chat so that I can get started with the feedback? Captains, okay, OG is here. Yeah. Are the rest of them not really interested in the verdict? What the fuck? All right. So like the first round, I will be giving my rankings out here, and once I do give out the rankings, uh, I will also send across. You guys will get a Google Meet link for further deliberation, and if you have any questions or comments, we could always discuss it further. First of all, brilliant debate. It's an average to an above average room for us. With if the range is 72 to 80, we have scores ranging from 75 to 78, and there's only 1 point difference between each team. There was a lot of engagement, but there was also a lot of disengagement, because of which we had to pick up the niche parts of the debate to rank you guys. We did, as adjusts, take up a certain level of liberty to separate the points based on our understanding, and I can completely understand if you have any questions or concerns. Saying that, the rankings go as follows: OO, CO, CG, OG, 4 to 1. OO4, CO3, CG2, and OG1. The reasoning: first, why OO takes down the last place. Again, like I said, a very high standard debate. There was good level of engagement. Some points were taken off, which the others engaged on. And the reason why CO just takes a little bit over you guys is because while most of your points were either countered or questioned by the government, the CO did bring up the all-time high level of a debt. I do understand Ujwal did mention something along the lines of venture capitalists and the money coming in from Middle East, which is why we need them to be on our side. But then the question that came up from the Gov bench, both the opening and the closing, was what sort of a utopic world where everybody is happy, and to that we don't get any answer. Therefore, OO takes 4. Then CO takes 3, because most other points were again questioned and countered, except the um, question about we are at an all-time high and we have an internal crisis and we need to deal with it. Now, while that did stand, the rest of the cases that came up, the which seemed a lot more feasible and a lot more realistic, were the ones that came up from the government, which the CEO failed to completely attack or take away, because of which those points kept standing. Coming to OG versus CG, why CG takes a 2 against an OG's 1 is because while CG did introduce a new perspective with respect to the religion component of it, the rest of the religious component of it was also countered a little by Ayush, where he talks about what world does this suddenly go away, and when will this ever come to an end? It will not until we come and take a stand. And the religious component is something that Ayush was able to counter, but at the same time that did not warrant enough to give you guys full credit for the entire case. And that is the reason why OG took the first place for us, because they did come up and they painted a bigger realistic scenario. And yes, I do understand, like I said, the government, closing government especially, came in later, because of which they would need to elaborate a little more on the points mentioned by the opening. But we did not see that happen. Instead, what we saw was an introduction of a new perspective that was fleshed out for another new point, but for the same point, there was not a new perspective and not excessive fleshing out for you guys to get credit for it, because of which OG takes first. So that is my ranking, where we have a tie for our best speaker at 78 points between Pratyush and Sukesh, and the range is from 75 to 78. And with that, I would like to conclude my analysis of the ranking, and I will see all of you on the Google Meet. I thank you guys for being here and giving us the time to deliberate. Any other questions and comments? I will take you guys there. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
I would like to thank Ravi Bhaiya for taking out this time today to chair this round and give such a deep analysis. We will be continuing all this deliberation in case the teams do have any questions on the verdict in the Google Meet link. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and we hope you all had a really good time. We will update now on the finals, and we will see you then. Thank you so much. Have a good night.